Hello, Dodgers! Thank you for being here for this first time here on my channel. I'm from Brazil. My name is Nina Vinti, and I live in Portugal. And I'd like to share, first of all, okay, I know my English is not the best. I do have a lot of accents when I speak the English, but I hope that you can understand a little bit what my concerns are, okay, and what the kind of message that I would like to share with you, okay, guys. So the thing is, I'm going to this first moment on my channel as a Brazilian girl talking about those movements that are going on and share with you also how it's the movement in Brazil, okay, just to have everything very clear, okay, because I do believe that we don't know a lot about Brazil just with to see some social media or some news that I believe that they put just a point of view. So I'd like to be on the other side, of course, that we are going to talk about movement, relationships, and etc. Okay, so let's go here. Today I bring this video. She's called Alice Cappelle. Okay, I think she's French. I didn't check her historical. I'm really sorry, Alice, it's not against you, but I watched this video. I was very shocked, so I'd like to talk a little bit about it, okay? So let's move forward here, guys. So let's check. It's my first time out here, okay? So it might be the reason that sometimes everything here, my video is a mess. Okay, so let's...
Our men are leaving, they truly are. We've pushed too far, we asked too much of them, and now they're leaving. The best of them... sorry, the best of them are leaving. So who's going to provide for us? Because I don't want to work. Who's going to build buildings and bridges to go from one place to another? Who's going to lift us up when we faint? Because it happens all the time. Who's going to go to war? Not the soy boys, not me. Ladies, our men, real men, build this nation, and we complain about having to clean the kitchen. Period pains, like what is wrong with us?
I know what is wrong with us. What is wrong with us, like you, Alice, and like me, that's from Brazil and even Portugal, since that it's a lot of time that we don't know how it's to be in a war or how it's to make a war duty for a nation. Of course that we can't understand it, and of course that makes sense if you use that like doing a satire or a bad humor, sense of humor, because I believe that since that we don't go to wars and etc., of course that we are going to take a look about everything in a bad way, in a satire way. And I can't believe that we still have people like you that when find a guy that is a truly good man energy, and you just start and say that it's like say, oh, we women are complaining because we are cleaning kitchen and they are fighting for us. Okay, so I don't like it. I think that it's no humor or that. I just hated this part of the video, and I'm going to say some stuff because not the first time that I'm watching that. Like a Brazilian girl, oh my god, really.
I want to say to the men watching this, we need you. Please stay. Bonjour my days, welcome back to my channel. Let me just start by saying that no, Western women aren't afraid of lame dudes leaving to find traditional women abroad. That's what pastel bros.
Guys, this I think most of you have known those here because they were very known in a TLC program from the United States. Okay, so the girl here, she's from Latin, okay, Latin American. Guys, sorry about the English, okay? It's the first time, so yes, let's see how it's going to be this video. Oh, this guy, he's American guy. So of course that here he found a reason to say, how could this girl marry this kind of guy? Okay, so this is the point of view. But of course that she thinks that it's how can I have a woman being in a relationship with this kind of guy, because since she's from French, she doesn't know how it's the third world. She likes to use this expression, and how hard it is to be a woman. Of course, we do have a lot of social problems around us, and we would like, yes, to have a person that can give a little bit of stability for us. Why? Because we have lived all the time in stability. But she can't understand that. Why? Because she just see her world as a French that probably lives in a very good way. So I found here um, I'm sorry, guys, this is in Portuguese. This should not be here. But they are like Brazilian girls that it was in those programs. And of course, everything that those girls decided to find those passport bros guys, they decided that because they want a better life, because they know how it's hard to be a woman in the third world country, okay? So I just would like to point it out, Alice, that it's complicated. And you should left a little bit French and go to see how it's society, especially for us.
So, I mean, seriously, what motivates you to leave your country, your friends, your family? Is that you're too scared of independent women? You want someone who is dependent on you and serve you like your mom? You want a second mom, Joey? I mean, grow up, goddammit. I wish I could say, please, do go away, but it also annoys me to think that foreign women will potentially have to deal with these dudes, you know, the Myron Gaines type from Fashion Fit, who also threatened once to go find a woman abroad. I thought I had to say that because as I was researching for this video, I kept on hearing the same argument, you know, like Western women are scared, men are gonna fly away to different countries and just leave them all alone. And to be honest, I'd rather stay single with a bunch of cats than having to.
Yes, guys, because the thing is, I was thinking about her argument with the situation. The guys that live in the country, they want to have a new experience, and I think it's totally fine if you decided to have 1 year or 2 years outside your country, understand another culture, just to open a little bit your mind.
They sound like Myron Gaines, but that's not the topic of the video. Anyway, let's talk about the serious stuff. Passport bros are at the intersection of various phenomena. The first one is the digital nomad movement, which grew thanks to the development of the internet, the World Wide Web. Being a digital nomad means that you have built a business online that allows you to travel the world, to live abroad, and eventually pay lower taxes or outsource some of your work.
Yes,
The trend was born
and of course, this is something that she can do. She lives. I believe that she's a YouTuber. So she also had the chance to go to a third world. I invited her, for example, to go to Colombia, to Venezuela, to Brazil, and try to figure out what would be the feminist movements that we have in those kind of country. Because when we do hear what you are saying, we are like, okay, she's complaining for what? For the guys just to decide to go to another country and open the point of view and try to understand a new culture and try to learn another language. Yes, just complaining.
the release of Tim Ferriss's Full Hour Work Week. It's a book that explains how to go from scratch, really, how to build your business online and how to eventually enjoy life in cheap, warm countries with all the money you've made. Part of the appeal of the Passport Bros trend is exactly that. They showcase a world that looks like non-stop holiday while you are stuck at uni
Yes.
or working a boring 9 to 5 job. So that's the
Yes, of course. What is the problem? If you just decide to take a risk in your life, try to open your own business, and in the same times have a different kind of life. So what I would like to understand a little bit of why she complains so much. So why she pointed out that those guys what they are saying, because in the end it's their job, it's their life, it's their freedom, so just leave the guys do whatever they want, and period. I don't know why she wants to be like their mothers and their mother and say, oh, you should not do that and that and that because you can't stand the situation, because you just like to have fun in your life. I how can I say that to her? I recommend you to have a year that you could stay, for example, in Asia, and try to understand how it's the people over there. Try to have a new point of view that it's outside Europe.
first element I see. The second element is obviously the traditional wife aspect. Passport bros claim that they are fed up with picky, demanding Western women, that feminism has corrupted them, that they want the cake, so provide.
Because nobody stands you, nobody stands this. You study, you don't have a job, and etc. And you go to the guys and say what you want, and you are being boring. You are being with the patriarchal society because the white people. Nobody wants to hear from that. Just you complain all the time.
Provider and eat it, so not be submissive. Now, it is true that there is a very long history of Western men going to foreign countries like Colombia, the Philippines, or former colonies to date or marry a foreign woman. Those men took advantage of their privilege, their power as Westerners to appear more attractive to foreign women who were taught to see them as the colonizer, therefore.
No, actually, as I told you before, if you want, I strongly recommend you to go to Brazil, okay, and you go to countryside, and I show you how it's to be a woman in those kind of countries, how it's violent, the violence over there, to be raped and everything that's extremely dirty, how it's being over there, and you don't have, for example, a father or a brother or some masculine picture close to you that can help you, can guide you, or at least you're thinking about, oh, I can get out night from my house because in the end I'm afraid to be raped. So of course you don't understand those kind of things, so you think that it's colonismus, the colonizer, and I don't know expression set in English, but it's not this kind of relationships that is being doing. It's a kind of someone that see violence all the time and find someone that live in a peaceful country, or at least a kind of peaceful country. So of course that this girl here from the third world, as she said, she's going to take a look in this guy with another eyes. Why? Because she just want to be protected. So it's very simple. So it's not about power or patriarchat. It's about survival, but she can't understand that because she's from France, so of course it makes sense.
As a figure of power, authority, someone who is inherently superior to her. To marry a Westerner was a form of social climbing because it was prestigious, because it meant stability. On the other hand, some Western men reported finding foreign women more attractive for various reasons. Famous French actor Vincent Cassel once said in an interview in 2011 that he was in his jungle fever era. He was only attracted by, quote, black or mixed race women. Then he says, I was specialized in Asian women and then Parisian Arab women. And he adds as a sort of self-reflection that he realized that when you're too specific, you don't really care about the person. Wise words, Vincent. Can we call that progress? Famous French singer Serge Gainsbourg, who was known for dating very young, docile, attractive women like Jeanne Birkin and Caroline von Paulus, half Vietnamese, half Chinese, who he nicknamed Bamboo, and he also encouraged her to make her own album titled Made in China. In case you didn't know, France occupied Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia.
This is a thing that how can I explain to you guys? The thing is, people in general, women or men, they have different point of view what is beauty. And actually what I understand is she found two guys that they have they treat women in a very different way, very weird way, and she understands that she had these two examples, and she said that all the past proposals they are like that. And secondly, and this is the most important of the situation, everybody had a different type of guy or girl that they like most. For example, if I like a black guy, white guy, green eyes, blue eyes, black eyes, or straight hair or curly, what is the point on it? It's just about what you like, and people like things differently. So I don't understand her point of view when she say, oh, because they looks like a doll, because they are white, because they are small, because they are pretty and they talk home. So all these things that she's pointing out here, she of course she have a kind of guy or a girl, I don't know what it's her preferences, but of course she does have her type. I do have my type as well, and those guys, of course, they can have their types.
Until 1954, and there was this sort of weird fascination with Asian women, often described as dolls. In Lotus Madame Chrysanthème, published in the early 20th century, a marine soldier arrives in Nagasaki and hopes to, like his friends, find a Japanese woman for temporary marriage. He says, as soon as I'll arrive there, I'll marry. Yes, with a small yellow-skinned woman, with dark hair and cat eyes. I'll make sure she's pretty, she won't be taller than a doll. He then continues.
Yes, because it's this guy choice. And some people they prefer small girls, they prefer small women, so it's kind of the type of the person that you like most.
continues explaining that he'd treat her like a children, like a toy, blah blah blah. It's also important.
Yes, there's two different things here. Some guys, they do have fetish. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. And of course, everybody likes a different kind of relations, I'd say that. So the thing is, we can't go with a third eye on this relationship and take a look on that and say what is wrong or not wrong about that. Of course, when we do see a violent on it, and when we do see something that is really weird or strange, or when you are seeing that one of the parts they are feeling humiliated or frustrated with the situation, okay, maybe we can see that and think, okay, so let's do something different. We can accept those kind of relationships. But this was not the case. I mean, if some guys they like to pay things for you, or to give you things, or to take care about you, this is what I call a masculine energy that is very healthy. So I quite can't understand why she's complaining about this health man energy.
To remember that during the 20th century, 85% of American soldiers who were located in Japan after the Second World War said that they had met with local sex workers. Bear in mind, it also happened in the Philippines, in Thailand, in Malaysia, in Singapore. So their first experience was based on her being a sex object and him being the almighty Westerner. Still today, Westerners find ways to connect with Asian women abroad, as you can see.
Yes, because it's the kind of the preference that those guys
This
have.
video where the guy says that he's been writing to hundreds of Asian women in the past 5 years and has a collection of pictures of them. He says, quote, "There seems to be an endless supply of women over there." It is undeniable.
Yes, of course, because if the guys goes to Asian, of course they are going to find the Asian girls, Asian stereotype.
That passport bros are part of their very long history. Sure, women in former colonies have gained greater access to education, to financial independence, which makes them less prey to lame Western boys, but that colonial history, the power dynamics it has created in terms of economic status, the value put on whiteness as well, are still very present, as anthropologist Marion Botero showed in an article on the Thai woman fantasy and the crisis of masculinity in the West. I mean, it'd be foolish to believe that because colonialism ended in Asia and Africa in the 20th century, that then all of a sudden the relationships of power that had been instilled in both the colonizer and the colonized for centuries disappeared.
As I told you, I don't believe that it's a situation of colonize the person that colonized and the person who is colonized. Okay, why? Because as I told you before, guys, the thing is, if you are not from a dangerous country, of course that you can't understand why those kind of women they prefer to find the passport bros to be together with them. So it's not about having money or have a better have a better experience, or having power to buy more things or to experience better things. It's not about that. It's mostly trying to survive. We are talking not about colonized or colonized and colonized relationship, but in the end we are talking about a survival situation. So this is the point that she's not getting, because I don't see a person from, I don't know, I'm from Brazil, so I found a Portuguese guy here because I lived in Lisbon, and oh my God, he was my colonel. Of course not. Maybe I can find a person from another country, not because necessary I have a kind of in the past, so it's cool to have this red passport. No, maybe I just want to survive. Maybe I just want a better life. So I can't understand what she's saying here. I don't agree.
We know that being a Westerner, being white, means being privileged, and with privilege comes responsibility, a sense of awareness of one's position in the world. Now that this has been said, I would...
Yes, what she actually is doing, it's the same, first of all, if she's from French, because I don't know where she's from, guys, let me find my mouse here, okay? If she's from French, what I believe, they should update what the school teaches about Africa, South America, Asia, etc. Why? Because this thing about being privileged, so in the end you want to play the colonized as well, but the feminist colonized. Do you understand what I mean? Because if you go to me as a third country and say those guys, don't relate with them because they just would like to fuck you, or they just would like to have a special time with you, having fun with your body and everything. So if you are acting, try to tell us, to alert us what those guys, how they if you want to alert us that those guys, they are not good for us, actually what you are doing is exactly what I learned from my history, my book, my history books. It's the colonizers, the Europeans, they went to Africa because they wanted to give a culture, because they wanted to give civilization. Because imagine in Africa, they are still in the prehistory. So actually the discourse that she's doing, it's like a feminism discussion that say, since that I'm white, I'm from patriarchal, and I'm from Europe, and I'm Western woman, I want to alert you that those kind of guys, they just want to play with you. But this is the most important thing is, my body as a Western woman, it's free and I do whatever I want. But you're as a third world, no. I need to alert you because you need to take care, because those guys, they are very complicated guys, and those guys just want to use your body. So don't do that. Leave that for us because we are more intelligent than you are.
We'd like to look at the impact of passport bros on Western feminism. Maybe you've heard about this book. Dances.
Yes, about this thing about booking, etc., actors. This is something that the feminists, they do a lot. Every kind of especially a specialist or studies and etc., there is always the two sides. She just found one of the two sides, and here's my booking. Okay, I have a partial booking, not here in my scenario, but inside my house, and I can just share to you, I find a book that talking about that and that and that.
Feminism in the 1980s, so late second wave feminism, early third wave in the US. Side note, but I was very much inspired by this book when I wrote my book, which is coming out at the end of the year, because the backlash she describes in it is very similar to the post-Me Too backlash that we're living through at the...
Yes, and I look forward to have your book, because I would like to understand further about your opinion and your way of view, because the third wave of feminism in the Western world, I would like to understand more about what you are complaining. I think that you should understand a little bit what is being a third world woman. Maybe you would think, okay, maybe it's good to be a feminism in the Western world.
The moment. And part of the backlash includes the discourse, the manufactured outrage around the passport bros trend. When you think about it, very few people can afford to be a passport bro. You need to have a remote job that is compatible with living on the other side of the world. You must leave everything behind you, your family, your friends, to end up in a culture that you probably barely know or don't know at all.
When I
or a place where you probably barely speak the language.
Go to Lisbon, for example, when I decided to go to Portugal, or actually when I decided to live in Germany, when I was 13 years old, I didn't know German. I could speak a little bit English. I went to a family that wasn't my family, and I totally lived something that it was outside of my culture. And of course, it was very good for me in that time. I learned a lot. I opened my mind. I understood a little bit more than what I was very used to see in my transitions, in my family, etc. So in the end, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. So just leave these guys, have a 1 or 2 sabbatic years, and maybe they can be stronger as men. Or if they go there and they realize that, okay, I need to go back home, I'm kind of sick about that, I learned a lot, now it's time to go home, there is absolutely no problem on that.
Very few people can do that, and very few people actually do that. I remember when I was watching a lot of self-help many years ago, I was struck by the number of hustle bros who would go back to the US after spending a year or two in exotic countries because the culture shock was too intense. They could not handle it. What is interesting with the passport bro
Yeah, that happens. Okay, so this is the part of process when you decided to leave your country.
is the discussions it triggers in the West. Men of the men's movement have used this opportunity to tell Western women to be careful because men are leaving to find decent wives abroad.
Yeah, it's not about decent wives, okay? It's more about less boring woman, because Western woman, this third world, nobody stands anymore.
That message was then relegated by other right-wing and self-proclaimed apolitical channels on YouTube. Those people channels use the outrageous nature of their trend to push an anti-feminist agenda. In fact,
yes, they do have an anti-feminism agenda, and now I can understand that here a little bit what you are trying to tell us, but come on, are you complaining because the guys wants to do one sabbatic country outside your country to try to be a better guys and try to learn more, try to see a different culture?
Backlash validly talks about the pressure put on women to marry young and forge a family. She tells about a Newsweek story that declared that single, 40 years old, college-educated white women are more likely to be killed by terrorists than to marry. That line was then repeated in women's magazines, in talk shows, in advice books, the same way the, quote, men are leaving to find wives abroad, circulated on social media. But when it was time to figure out where the terror story actually came from, a former Newsweek bureau intern explained that it started as a joke. It has no scientific background, but somehow someone took it seriously and it ended up on print. It is interesting to see that the article specifically targeted college-educated white women because they were the feminists that were most represented on TV at the time. They were and still are to some degree what people think of when we talk about feminists. So you see how it seeks to instill that fear in women. Like, don't become like the feminists you see on TV, otherwise you'll end up alone and lonely and ugly. I add ugly because
no, you are going to end up alone because you are boring, because all these discussions that you are trying to convince us in this YouTube channel that you do have, it's more about just complain. And of course, with some videos that I'm going to do with the time here with you guys or girls, the thing is, the woman, they decided to have different kind of lives, and of course when you decided one thing is, and you are going to have consequences on that. What I do see with the feminists is they do a choice, okay, they select a choice that they want for life, and the consequences they try to give the patriarchal. I don't see any kind of moment that they, oh, I did that, for consequence happened that. The discussion here is, I did that, and this is the patriarchal problem, so we need to fix that. So my situation with the third wave of the feminists, because they just complain, they don't find solutions, they just go to the internet and say, oh, it's the patriarchal, it's the white people, it's the rich people, and now those feminists, they found another thing that they can blame, which is the passport bros, is the remote guys and the rich guys, or the guys that they have a different life, and since they decided to live to one sabbatic country and try to meet different culture and try to embrace what they are, or doing, for example, an exchange. So this is very good. As for a person, I strongly recommend you to do that the same. But go to Brazil, for example, go to Rio de Janeiro, try to visit some favelas, try to understand how complicated it's to be a woman over there.
because back then it was also said that career women could easily develop adult acne. And we rarely see people make fun of feminists, like recently Emma Watson saying that feminism ages you. I'm not going to list.
No, the thing is not about that. I believe that the situation, as I told you, you go to media, to social media, you open a YouTube channel, or you decide to be an actress, and then you get a movement for you. Like what I'm doing right now. Of course that I'm going to receive people saying that I don't speak Portuguese, that my English, that my accent is very strong, that I do commit a lot of grammatics English errors, and here's a go. But of course, I decided to be here. So of course that I'm going to take consequences about everything that I'm saying and about all the point of view that different people are going to my channel. So if I decided to be public, if I decided to let you know what I do think, you need to understand that you are going to have consequences for those kind of choices. So my thing regarding the feminism, the Western woman, is you selected one thing, you decided one thing, and you don't take consequences for that. You prefer to guilt a third party instead of all the situations that you decided to live or being through.
All the things we say to diminish feminists as individuals, but you get the idea. I mean, the backlash is efficient because it hits where it hurts. It seeks to put you back in your place, to place the patriarchy.
And another thing, this is not being a woman, a truly woman, because a woman accept consequences for the decision that you make. This is something about teenager situation, because when I hear she's saying things, I imagine that this is a problem with the teenager, because they do they complain about a lot of things. They don't accept the rules. They don't accept the world. So it's what she's kind of do. Instead of finding solutions, she just go to the channels and say, oh, the men, they are doing that and that and that. And so shit, what the hell is going on? So it's just about complaining, of course, and give some authors to be here and say, oh, look, I'm reading some special books about it.
Uncle society we live in has determined who's going to be yours. But if you're a feminist like me, you are working on changing the way we envision human relationships, sexuality, the family. You're shaking.
Yes, of course, because this is something that I really think that it's contradiction. Because if you're saying about the guy that is colonized and the girl in third world that are colonized, so you are the Western woman who would like to say for the third woman what they should and not should do. Because you, as privileged and white, you know what we should do. And not leaving us to be free exactly the same way that you have your free body and your free rules. So what you are doing is the same as I studied in the school when the Europeans went to South America or went to Africa. You think that you are better than us. Do you think that you know more than us because you are privileged and you are white? But no, of course not. We do know what we are doing. And we don't want someone take a look at us and say, don't do that because I know more than you, because I'm privileged and I'm white, I'm European, and I know what is the consequences are.
The foundations of a centuries-long tradition called patriarchy, and that is tough. But it's also so rewarding to be part of this project, to see the progressive dismantlement of something that has caused so much damage across the gender spectrum, across ethnicities, across social classes, to various degrees, obviously. I'm not going to pretend that those threats have never affected me. They did in the past. They prevented me from fully embracing feminism. The one that was super triggering for me during high school was the, quote, you'll end up alone with cats. A female friend of mine kept saying it to me because I wasn't really interested in dating at the time, and then my first boyfriends reinforced that fear of ending up alone for the rest of my life because they were obsessed with it themselves. They wanted to find their one and only, they lived happily ever after, as soon as possible, and transferred that fear onto...
Guys, the speech is always the same. It's unbelievable.
Me. From then on, it became an obsession to also find that right person, even though I had never cared about that in the past. I was more than happy by myself. It took me a lot of time to sort of get away from that. I need to find someone.
Good for you.
Because I need to fulfill societal expectations. I need to marry in 5 years and have kids in 10 years and blah blah. Once I accomplished that...
Nobody's forcing you for nothing. You decided what you want to do. Period. It's your life. If your body is free, just take care about the consequences.
I was able to approach dating in a much healthier, less stressful way, lower the pressure and go with the flow, respect each other's desires and vision, and see where it brings us. All of that to say that if you personally feel threatened by the pastel bros trans, by the mockery directed at feminists, the cats and everything, know that if you've made it that far in the video.
Guys, you are going to see this video, the link of this video in the downside here, in the where it stays here, exactly here. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name now, apologize. I'm a little bit tired about that, and I'm very shocked about everything that I'm listening. It was a difficult and hard video to comment and to do reacting, because I I hear a teenager for 15 years old just complain about how the world it is. But as soon as she can had anything to add for the world, what she does, just complain. Just say how bad the world is, instead of try to figure out a one way that everybody is going to be happy, or everybody is going to be satisfied, or one moment that actually she's going to be free about all this those kind of guys, it's complicated to try to talk about that, because I'm here more at teenagers complaining all the time and don't find solution. It's just about complaining. And she opened a channel because in the end she's just complaining. She have like a beautiful life. She does have access to everything. Imagine you living in French as a country, and she's just complaining. It's what the French do more, just complaining. Have a beautiful life, have a beautiful country, and of course everything that the French is today, we can never forget that have blown the hands on it. So I can't accept it, and I can imagine how frustrated it is for me to listen what she's telling and see as privileged and white what she does believe that it's right for the third world, because she's the colonized, but she's a feminist colonized. She's doing that for love. She's doing that because she's nice. Okay, so would be a very complicated point of view. I need to confess to you that I did this reaction also in Portuguese, and I would like to collect a lot of comments from the feminism in Brazil, because it's so absurd everything that I heard until now from her. Of course, that I would like to take a look further in some other videos and try to figure out what she does have in her mind. But okay, since that the world is free, opinions is free, I would like just to let you know that it was a pleasure to be here with you today. It's my first time, and of course there are a lot of things for me that it's hard, it's difficult, it's not easy. So actually what I would like to tell you is, try to be part of this movement and try to be on with me. Of course that I'm going to share more about what is happening in Brazil, and also the movement, because in the end I think that most people it's seen Brazil like now with a movement very strange, and like feminism or red pills and politics, everything. It's kind of strange what is going on, and I would like to be point of view that is seeing what is going on in Brazil, and would like to share with you a totally different point of view that you are seeing on TV. Okay, so thank you very much to be here with me, make part of that, and enjoy the community, and help me on that, help me to be a strong voice in this channel, and with everything that I would like to share with you mostly. Okay, so guys, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here today, and see you around.